If your hands work, use them.
guys, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. All right. Chag Sameach, everybody, and happy Simchat Torah. We're very happy to have everybody who's here for our congregation outdoors. It's not raining. I'm happy to take credit for that. You're welcome. Just kidding. But I'm really pleased that you're here with us. We have Ed Goldberg and his klezmer band with us. We're really happy to have him and them. We have our cantor. We have Kevin. Where's Robin? We have Robin. She's over there. And we are going to celebrate Simchat Torah. So we're really happy about that.
We had to make some modifications, of course, for our service today, but we are still going to honor the holiday and celebrate the traditions of Simchat Torah. Simcha means what? What does Simcha mean? Joy, happiness. And we know what the Torah is. The Torah is a Torah. So Simchat Torah is joy of the Torah, celebrating the Torah. That's what we're going to do today. In a normal year, of course, we would unroll the whole Torah and we would dance 7 times around the sanctuary. But for safety this year, of course, Cantor is going to be chanting the entire book of Genesis without break. Right, Cantor? Right. Robin will be chanting the entire book of Exodus. Right, Robin? Yeah. Right. Got it. No. We are going to do small selections from the 5 books of the Torah. And between each selection, which will represent one of the hakafot, one of the parades, the band's going to play and we're going to clap and have a great time. So we're really happy you're here with us today. And we are going to begin now on page 120 of your festival prayer book in 20. No, we're not going to begin there. We're moving ahead. We're going to move ahead to 128. I think we're ready for the Chatzi Kaddish. Let's get started today with the Chatzi Kaddish. After our fantastic prelude from our band, we'll have the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadol, Shemei Rabbah, V'yaleh Yifnei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayekol Yom Echad, Uv'chayekol Beit Yisrael, Barala, all is not glory, Amen. Yeshemei Rabbah Mevorach, Me'olam u'le'al me'olmaya, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, V'ad Yitroman v'yitraseh, V'yitrador, V'yitraleh, Shemei Dekudishah, Le'ela Mitzvah V'chata, V'shirata, Tushvichata, V'nechemata, Damiran Mi'aleh, Amen.
We turn to page 130 as we rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Please be seated. We continue now on page 133. Hafach ba v'hafach ba dechola ba. Turn Torah and keep turning, for everything can be found in it. Keep your eyes attached to it. Spend your lifetime in its study. Never budge from it, for there is no better way of life than this. And we continue with the Simchat Torah reading on page 135. Why don't we read together at the bottom of the page? Source of life, every year you plant a new tree of life. May it be your will that this year our Torah blossoms with kindness and not cruelty, wisdom and not foolishness, awareness and not thoughtlessness. May you teach us a love of Torah that will nourish us in every season. And we turn ahead now to page 137 as we rise and offer the Shema together.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Ve'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Ve'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We continue on page 138 with Ve'afta.
La 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 בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. לה 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 והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. לה 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 ושיננתם לבניך בליבת אדם בשבתך בביתך ובכנך בדרך ושכבך ובקומך וקשתם להיות על ידך והיו בעיניך ובטחת על מזוזות ביתך על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. לה 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 la 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 la
Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. And we turn ahead now on page 142 with Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha Elim Adonai, mi chamoch nedor v'kodesh, nora tagilos osef ele, nora teilot osef ele, ma'alech utecha rovonecha, bokei hayam, lifnei Moshe Miriam, Ze'eli, anu ve'am, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
We continue now on page 145. We'll read together at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal God, us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may live in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Blessed is the guardian of Israel, whose love gives light to all the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And we turn ahead now to page 147 for the V'yedaber Adonai Moshe.
Vayadaber Moshe et Moadei Adonai el bnei Yisrael.
And Moses declared the appointed festivals of Adonai to the people of Israel. And let us turn ahead now in the prayer book to page 204. Page 204. We continue with the festival Tefillah.
Ufiya gittilatecha, Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Kakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, L'Ma'an Shemo B'Yava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Yezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Michayei HaKol atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashloch u'Morid HaGashem, Michalkei Chayim b'Chesed, Michayei HaKol v'Rachamim Rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, u'matir asurim, kayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'givorot, u'midomech melech memit, u'mechayeh, u'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai michayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yihallelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. And we shall continue now on page 216 with the Ya'aleh.
Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Ya'aleh v'Yavo v'Yizacher zichronenu, v'zikron kol macha ben Yisrael lifanecha litovo, u'chen u'chesed u'drachamim, u'chaim u'mashalom, v'yom Hashmini chatzeret hazeh, Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo litova,
Amen.
U'fokreinu bo livracha,
Amen.
Ve'hoshienu bo lichayim.
Amen. Our God and God of our ancestors, be mindful of your people Israel. Festival of Atzeret Simchat Torah. This day, remember us for well-being. This day, bless us with your nearness. This day, help us to a fuller life. Amen. And let us continue now on page 294. We're going to turn ahead to page 294. We'll continue with the Hallel, the songs of praise for the festival. We'll begin with the blessing for Hallel.
Asher kideshanu b'mitzvot v'tzivonu lekro et Hallel.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to recite hymns of praise.
Hallelujah. Kol goyim, shadechu kol ha'omim, ki gavor aleinu chasto ve'emet Adonai le'olam hallelujah.
Praise Adonai, all you nations. Extol God, all you peoples. For great is God's steadfast love toward us. The faithfulness of Adonai endures forever. Now we turn ahead in the prayer book to page 334. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer now, those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This time, I'll invite you to all rise now on page 334 as we recall our loved ones and we join in reciting the Kaddish prayer. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirute v'amlich malchute, v'chai echon uvyom echon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Thank you, Cantor and Kevin. Now I want to let everybody know we're going to take a quick seventh inning stretch because you're all standing right before we get to the Torah scroll, and I want everybody to see you. So I'm going to take that camera and turn it around. Everybody can wave and say hello.
So we can say hi. We have our virtual congregation joining us on YouTube. We have Cantor and Kevin and our band. Band, you may want to get on over there. We're almost ready for you. Yeah, get going over there. Exactly, and then we have everybody. Say hello, everybody. We're very happy to be together, and it's not raining. You know, having a good time here. All right. Now, what we're going to do next is get ready for our Torah service, and I think the Torah service we're going to go right into Ki Mitzion today, right into Ki Mitzion on page 230 of the prayer book. And after we finish our liturgy, our band will kick in for a little bit of music while we prepare the Torah scrolls for reading. So we continue.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti Ramama Shemo Yavecha Adonai Agidova Yagivova Yatiferet Yanetzach Echad Kifal Hashamayim U'Haaretz Kifal Hashamayim U'Haaretz Lecha Adonai Amamocham Yamit Naseh Lecha Lemosh.
All right, you can all be seated. Thank you very much. So here's what we're going to
So here's what we're going to do. See. I guess we'll just bring this over here. It'll be a little easier. What we're going to do is we are going to read 7 Torah readings from the Torah to represent the 7 that we do on Simchat Torah. And each reading that we'll do, so I'm going to lift the Torah about 5 times. So I'm going to get my good Torah workout today. I went to the gym yesterday. You'll be not literally at home, the gym at home. I didn't go to the gym. Anyway, and I'm ready to go. So we're going to lift the Torah about 5 times so you can see all the different special portions that we're reading. We're doing 7 highlights of the Torah today for you to enjoy. Of course, it is traditional to conclude the reading of the Torah, followed by reading the Torah again. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start at the very end of the Torah. And that section, of course, Moses. Where is Moses? Where are they located? Anybody know? They're on Mount Nebo, and all the Israelites are ready to go into the promised land, but Moses is not able to go with them. He dies on Mount Nebo, overlooking the land of Israel. And it says that there was never another prophet like Moses who knew God face to face. So we're going to begin with that reading. But before we do that, actually, we're going to talk a little bit more. Does anybody know the name of the person who writes a Torah scroll? So, yeah, do you know? A scribe, and in Hebrew, that's a sofer. A sofer writes a Torah scroll, and it can take up to a year to write a Torah scroll because a Torah scroll is all written by hand. Now, do you know how many mistakes you can have in a Torah scroll and it still be okay? No, that's not true. It's not 0. Yeah? 3. You can have up to 3 mistakes. Of course, if there's a mistake in the Torah, there are lots of ways of fixing it. You don't have to just, bury your Torah if there's a mistake in it. You can replace a piece of the parchment. You can rewrite it, etc. Do we know what a Torah scroll is written on? Do we know what a Torah scroll is written on? Yeah. Mark, go ahead.
Animal skin.
Animal skin, parchment. You can use any kosher animal to write a Torah on, but I wouldn't recommend using fish. And why is that? Doesn't smell so good. Don't do that. All right. So you write your Torah scroll. And does anybody know how many letters there are in the Torah? We're celebrating the Torah. We're learning lots of good things about it. How many letters do you think there are in the Torah? I'll give you a clue. There are more than 10. Okay. Anybody want to take a guess? Hey, how many you think? Take a guess. How many? 500? No, more. Somebody else. How about an adult? Come on, adult. Come on, let's hear from an adult. What do you think? How many? How many letters in the Torah? Back in the back. 2,000. 304,805 letters. 304,805 letters written by hand by the scribe. And most Torah scrolls are 2 to 3 feet high and weigh 20 to 25 pounds. I actually knew a scribe once. I met him. And women or men can be scribes. And the person I met told me it would take about a year to write the scroll. And when he wanted to deliver it to a congregation, what do you think he did? He bought an airplane ticket for it. Because you're not going to stow it in the luggage. You're not going to check in your Torah, right? So he bought an airplane ticket for his Torah. It sat right next to him on the plane. All right. And by the way, what happens if you drop the Torah? What? Yeah, Sammy Blum. What happens? What can't you do? Do you know? I'll come back to you. Yeah. You're not supposed to eat for 40 days. Now, that might be a problem because people generally die if they don't eat for 40 days. So this does happen, unfortunately, on occasion. And when it does, 40 people each fast one day in a row. 40 people fast one day in a row. So I'm very pleased to tell you I'm not planning on dropping the Torah today. I'm hungry. I want to have dinner. And we have candy apples, so we're not missing those. All right. So anyway, as we were saying, the first traditional reading is from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 34. Moses will not make it to the promised land, but he was 120 years old when he died. And that's why we say in Hebrew, Ad Mea Ve'asrim, may you live to be 120. May you live to be 120. Nobody knows where Moses is buried. That way we don't try to go worship him because we only worship God. Right? Moses' burial place is unknown. All right. And Moses was the greatest prophet, and Moses saw God face to face. So our first Torah reader today is going to be Robin Streitman. She's going to chant the end of the Torah scroll for us. Before she does that, what we're going to do is the opening Torah blessing together. We're going to read all 7 sections and then the closing Torah blessing together. So let's join together in the Torah blessing. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mi'olamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'lo kam navi od b'Yisrael k'Moshe asher yida'o Adonai panim el panim l'chol ha'otot v'hamavtim asher shalachah Adonai la'asot be'eretz Mitzrayim לפרעה ולכל עבדיו ולכל ארצו ולכל היד החזקה ולכל המורא הגדול אשר עשה משה לעיני כל ישראל.
Now, it is traditional whenever you finish reading a book of the Torah or you finish Torah scroll to say a special line in Jewish tradition. I actually talked about it in one of my sermons because it's a good inspirational line. The line is Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek, which means be strong, and let us be strengthened. So why don't you repeat after me and we'll do the line together. Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek. Be strong, and let us be strengthened. Amen. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do our first Hagbah, and this is the easiest Hagbah because the Torah is heavy on the right hand. Next one, not so easy. It's heavy on the left, but the rabbis are right. Anyway, you don't need to know all that. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to please rise. We're going to lift the Torah scroll. The band's going to play. We're going to do Vizot Torah, and you can see the very end of the Torah scroll when I lift it up.
Sing it, join it, sing it. Everybody, sing it. Don't go by just dancing in the big square. Clap your hands and raise your voices high and make a circle while
Please be seated. Now, our second Torah reading, we begin again. The study of Torah never ends. We conclude in one Torah, and we begin again in the second Torah with the reading of the creation of the heavens and the earth. We are going to be reading days, Cantor will be chanting days number 1 and 2. What was the very first thing that God created? Light. And how did God do it? What did God do? God said. Words. God said. God's amazing, right? Our words are powerful. They can cause, goodness in the world. They can cause pain in the world. But God's word can actually create things, right? So God created the world, a light. And what did God think of the world that God was making, by the way? It's good. And what about after day number 6 when God finished everything? What does it say? Tov meod. Very good, right? The world was very good. And so even in difficult times like the times we're living in now, we can remember that the world is Tov meod, that it's still a place of goodness. So Cantor's going to start in the beginning, Bereshit. Reading from the Torah scroll, I'll be following along, and we can hear the very beginning of the Torah.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'ha'aretz hayata tofu vavohu v'choshech al panei tehom v'ruach Elohim mirachefet al panei hamayim vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or vayar Elohim et ha'or ki tov vayavdel Elohim ben ha'or uven ha'choshech vayikra Elohim la'or yom v'lachoshech kara laila vayehi erev vayehi voker yom echad vayomer Elohim yehi rakia b'toch hamayim vihi mavdil ben mayim la mayim vayas Elohim et harakia vayavdel ben hamayim asher mitachat larakia uven hamayim asher me'al larakia vayichen vayikra Elohim larakia shamayim vayi erev vayi voker yom sheni.
Now, I'm going to lift the Torah again so you can see the very beginning of the Torah. We're going to have Cantor's going to offer the traditional line, V'zot Torah, and after that, the band can come on. So I'll invite you to rise again. We're going to lift the Torah. You'll see a large bet for the very beginning of the Torah, Bereshit, and we'll continue with V'zot Torah.
V'zot HaTorah she'asa Moshe b'fnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai miyad Moshe. La 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 la
Now, you all can be seated. I got to roll the Torah to Exodus now, so we're going to hear a little music while we're rolling the Torah. But what's going to happen if my hands start hurting if I roll the Torah too much? What am I going to get? Full Torah syndrome. Every year you forget. I tell the same joke every year. You forget. I get to tell it again. Please be seated.
Avinu Shalom. Avinu Shalom.
Now we are on to our third Torah reading, representing our third Hakafah. This is from the book of Exodus, chapter 15. It is the Song of the Sea. We were slaves for how long in Egypt? 400. If you know the answer, just call it out. 400 years we were slaves in Egypt, and finally God freed us after how many plagues? 10 plagues, and we were free, and we got to the ocean. And what ocean were we at? Half right. Half of you were right. Sea of Reeds, the Reed Sea, R-E-E-D, like the plant, reed. We were at the Reed Sea, and the Pharaoh was right behind us with his army, and the ocean was in front of us, and all of a sudden God made a miracle, and the ocean split, and we went through to freedom, and we sang the song known as Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. It's actually one of the oldest parts of the Torah, and it has the line that we offer, the Michamocha, where we thank God for our freedom. It has a special trope, special music that goes along with it. Robin will be chanting. You'll notice whenever God's name is in one of the verses, the trope, the music is different. So we're going to continue now with the Song at the Sea.
אז ישיר משה ובני ישראל את השירה הזאת לאדוני ויאמרו לאמור השירה לאדוני כי גאו סוס ורוכבו רמה וים עוזי וזמריה ויהי לי לישועה זה לי וענווהו אלוהי אבי ורוממן הוא אדוני איש מלחמה אדוני שמו מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה.
Now I'm going to lift the Torah again. We're going to have the band accompany me this time for the Torah lifting, and you're going to see the Song of the Sea. It's written in a special way in the Torah with a lot of gaps in between. There's a lot of gaps in between which represent the waves of the ocean, the walls of the ocean, the waves of the ocean. So please rise again. You can take a good look at the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, as we hear our...
1, 2, 3.
All right, thank you. You can be seated, everyone. We're going to continue with our fourth reading now, right in the book of Exodus. A short little roll for me. The 10 Commandments. Anybody know any of the 10 Commandments? Give me one. Any one of them. Thou shalt not. It actually says thou shalt not murder, which is an interesting distinction. The translation is a killer murder. We can discuss that later. Anybody know any other ones? Yes. Celebrate Shabbat. Honor Shabbat. Celebrate Shabbat. Who's another one? Yeah. There's only one God. That's number one. That's number one. There's only one God. Anybody know any others? You shall not covet. Right? We got a good 10 Commandments. My favorite, number 5. Honor your father and mother. We're going to come back to that one a little while again. What do you guys think of that one, you two? All right. I'll leave that alone. There are, the first 5 commandments are between us and God. They are, you shall only have one. I am with God, and you shall have no other gods before. And honor Shabbat. The second 5 commandments are between people. Shall not steal, shall not murder, shall not covet, etc. There's a little bit of a dispute about how many commandments there actually were that were received by Moses, because if you've all seen the Mel Brooks movie, of course, he comes down with 3 tablets. He says, God has given me these 15, drops one of them, these 10 commandments. So anyway, but we'll discuss that some other time. Great story. All right, so Robin's going to be chanting the 10 Commandments for us, one of the most important sections of the Torah. And you'll notice as well, after she finishes, we're going to the Torah, and you will see they're written in a special way so you can identify the 10 Commandments.
וידבר אלוהים את כל הדברים האלה לאמור, אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך, אשר הוצאתיך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי. לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת לארץ. לא תישא את שם אדוני אלוהיך לשווא. זכור את יום השבת לקדשו. כבד את אביך ואת אמך. לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב, לא תענב רעך את שקר. לא תחמוד בית רעך, לא תחמוד אשת רעך, ועבדו ואמתו, ושורו וחמורו, וכל אשר לרעך.
Eshkoch, thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to do the Hagbah again. We'll have the Zora. That'll be followed by the band, because now we got to go to Leviticus, book number 3. We're making our way. We're rolling on. Keep on rolling. Well, hold on. We're going to do them first. We're going to canter first. Canter first. Over. Let's see those flags, people. Let's see those flags. Please be seated. Thank you. Our next section is our reading number 5 is from the book of Leviticus. It is Kedoshim. This portion actually is often compared to the 10 Commandments. It's called the Holiness Code. Contains some of the most important ethical teachings of the Torah. We actually also read it on Yom Kippur afternoon. For example, it's in the beginning it says, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." The important commandments, including leaving the corners of your fields for the poor and the needy. Do not curse the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind, which is to say, care for people who have disabilities. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. It's actually an interesting comparison here to the 10 Commandments too, because it mentions honoring your parents. In the 10 Commandments, it says you shall honor your father and your mother in that order. In Leviticus, it says you shall honor your mother and your father. So what does that teach us? Both parents are equally deserving of honor and respect. In one place, the father's mentioned first. In one place, the mother's mentioned first. All right. So we're going to continue now with the reading of from Leviticus, Kedoshim, chapter 19, verses 1 to 4.
וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל כל עדת בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם קדושים תהיו, כי קדוש אני אדוני אלוהיכם. איש אמו ואביו תיראו, ואת שבתותי תשמורו, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אל תפנו אל האלילים ואלוהי מסכה לא תעשו לכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
All right, now we got a little Torah reading to do. We're going to get on to the book of Numbers, the beginning of book of Numbers. So let's hear our band. Let's hear some music while we're rolling the Torah. Here we go. We're on reading number 6, which is the priestly blessing, the special blessing that Aaron, the high priest, gave upon all the people of Israel that we continue to this day. It's customary and traditional Judaism to make a hand symbol when you're the high priest and you offer the blessing. Does anybody know what that shape of your hand is? Can anybody do it? We got a couple over here. Right. It looks like this. Does anybody know what Hebrew letter this looks like? Shin. It looks like you guys are so smart. So smart. This is a shin to represent Shaddai, which is one of God's name. You lift your hands in this position to invoke God's name. The priestly blessing is very ancient. They found the priestly blessing on a silver scroll outside of Jerusalem that was 2,600 years old. So very important and beautiful blessing. So now Cantor's going to chant the priestly blessing for us from the Torah.
וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל אהרון ואל בניו לאמור, כה תברכו את בני ישראל, אמור להם, יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. ישמו את שמי על בני ישראל ואני אברכם.
Yasher Koach Cantor. Of course, it's a beautiful blessing. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be good to you. May God be with you and give you peace. Amen. Now, we're going to continue with our final reading, and you guys have to work now. You are all doing the final Torah reading. I'm going to sit down. No, I'm not going to sit down. But if everybody could open prayer book now to page, what page? I don't know what page. Here we go. Hold on. 137. Open your prayer book to page 137 because you're doing the last Torah reading now. So the last Torah reading, I'm going to roll the Torah for a minute. And Kevin, why don't you give us a little music? Just you. Give us a little. We're going to have Kevin give us a little music for this next one. Go ahead, Thank you, Kevin. All right. So what do you got there in your prayer book? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Yeah. The Shema. Oh, and then turn to the next page too. What's on the next page? The Ve'ahavta. The Shema and the Ve'ahavta come right from the Torah. We take them right out of the Torah. The Shema, of course, says that God is one. The Ve'ahavta says that we are to love God with all our heart, and all our might. By the way, where else the Shema and the Ve'ahavta appear on this scroll? They appear on another scroll too. Does anybody know what other kind of scroll they appear on? I'll give you a clue. It's in your house. Kind of. Almost in your house. The mezuzah. If you open up a mezuzah, you'll see a little scroll there, and it has the Shema and the Ve'ahavta right on it. So what we're going to do now is you get to chant the Shema and the Ve'ahavta with Cantor and I. Cantor's going to chant and lead us, but he'll be a little quieter so we can hear you. So I want to hear you nice and loud through your mask. You're amazing. And we're going to chant the Torah portion, this section together, and then we'll lift the scroll for all to see. So here we go. We'll do the Sulzer, the traditional Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Od Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
We'll continue with Ve'ahavta together. Let's hear everybody.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom avivavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam b'ham v'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shachmecha uv'kumecha tam leot al yadecha v'hayu litotafot b'neinecha uv'kavtam amezuzot beitecha uv'yisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אני הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem.
All right, now we're going to continue all together with the blessing after the Torah reading. I think we did enough of the Torah. What do you think? Did we cover it? I think we made it. All right, so let's have the blessing after the Torah reading together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah. Amen. All right, now I'm going to lift the Torah. I want the band, give me 2-3 songs. We're going to have some fun. We're going to lift the Torah. We're going to dress the Torahs. I'm going to put them back in the ark. Everybody can stand up, wave your flags, and clap. We're going to give it a little bit of ruach, a little spirit. We just about concluding our service here. We've enjoyed our band. Let's hear from everybody. And take a look at the Shema as I lift the Torah. Here we go.
Nagila hava, nagila baby saka. Hava, nagila hava, nagila hava, nagila baby saka. Hava, na na na, hava, na na na, hava, na na na, baby saka. Hava, na na na, hava, na na na, hava, na na na, baby saka. Boom, 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 go.
All right, let's hear for Ed Goldberg and our band. Thank you very, very much. The rain held off. It's just starting to come a little bit. I want to say a special thank you to Cantor and Kevin for our beautiful music. Thank you both very much. Ed Goldberg and his band, thank you. Thank you, Cantor and Robin, for chanting Torah so beautifully for us. Thank you both very much. Thank you all for being here. We have candy apples on the way out. I want to thank the DPC for sponsoring everybody. Chag Sameach, happy Simchat Torah. Our band will on, right? Till we get wet. Wait till we get wet. We're gonna have fun. Let me go turn the computer off.
That's a gypsy song.
Can you believe that? Okay. Hold on.
Daddy, I hope this is a sour apple.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, dear.